Shai Gilgeous-Alexander powers OKC to their 9th straight win, but are they the best team in the West after Memphis set a franchise record? And Sacramento Kings, oh no, it's the Locked On NBA Game Night podcast. Let's go.
When that final buzzer rings, you know it's time for Locked On NBA Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. It's the true NBA fans' one stop for all the action. Every game, every night. It's Locked On NBA Game Night. Tipping off now.
Welcome to another edition of Locked On NBA Game Night. Every game, every night. Brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. On Fridays, I'm your usual co-host, Jake Madison, at Nola Jake on Twitter, and the host of the Locked On Pelicans podcast.
And I'm also your usual co-host. I'm John Karalis, host of the Locked On Celtics podcast. Find me on Twitter at John_Karalis.
Today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL playoffs are almost here, but it's not too late to get in on the regular season action with FanDuel because right now new customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets. If your first $5 bet wins, just visit FanDuel.com to get started. John, we're back. It's good to see you on here, buddy.
Back, man. It's so good to see you. The whole NBA Cup thing threw everything off. The whole December schedule was weird, and it took me away from you. But it's a Christmas gift to me to be back podcasting with you about a full slate in the NBA.
It was a fun night. 9 games in the association on Thursday night.
Like we had finishes.
We had game winners. We have some injury news that we'll get to, trade rumors as well. It's a whole lot. We're going to do it all in under 30 minutes because that's what we do here on Locked On NBA Game Night, every game, every night. We are going to start with the Oklahoma City Thunder beating the Indiana Pacers 120-114. Let's kick it over to Rylan Stiles of Locked On Thunder.
The Oklahoma City Thunder get an impressive win over the Indiana Pacers. It was SGA who played like an MVP tonight. Whenever nobody else could get anything going except for rookie A.J. Mitchell, SGA's 45 points helped the Thunder get a big win over Indiana, who controlled the game for over 30 minutes of this game for Indiana. But the Thunder did storm back and get a win thanks to this level of play from Shai, pushing their winning streak to 9 games with the Charlotte Hornets looming, which could be a double-digit win streak for the Thunder. We break it all down on how that happened at Locked On Thunder.
Thunder are good, right? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going to be in the MVP race here. Still no Chet Holmgren for them. Yeah, they're just good. Like, you have to play a near perfect game to beat them, it feels like. You saw the Pacers go up in this one, and it was like only 6 points. It's like it should feel like so much more with how well they were playing.
Jake, the Oklahoma City Thunder are so good, they can lose a game and still have a 9-game winning streak. That's how good they are. Yeah, the Pacers, it's like the Pacers are playing this game, and they're playing well, and the Thunder kind of struggling shooting, and it's like, oh, the Pacers are up, they're up 12, they're up 15, they're up 6. And you're like, oh, okay. When you have a game like that where it feels like we should be up more, that type of game is always bad news because the other team is always kind of hanging around. And when the other team has Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, it's the potential for a heartbreak is looming. And I know we're going to get to Tony East here, but I have a question about the Pacers. What's going on with Tyrese Haliburton?
Let's see if Tony has an answer to that for us right now. Here's Tony East of Locked On Pacers.
Pacers winning streak is over. The Thunder beat them right here in Gainbridge Fieldhouse, 120-114. Tony East here with Locked On Pacers. A fun game, tied with 2.5 minutes to go. Pacers were hot early. Thunder were much better late. Their execution in the final 2.5 minutes got it done. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander with 45. That is a story of the game, but the story, especially for the Pacers, Tyrese Haliburton. 4 points, 6 shot attempts. That cannot happen for a max player, a star. Yes, Lou Dort was guarding him. He's excellent. Yes, they're going to switch a lot with good defenders. That's what the Thunder do. They're the best defense in the league, but he has to find a way to get shots up and be more aggressive, find the space. to get stuff done, or the Pacers are going to have more nights like this. Tonight was not pretty for them, was not pretty for Tyrese Haliburton. Great night from Andrew Nembhard, who instead was the primary ball handler to take that pressure off of Haliburton. Great night from Siakam, who's a good screener, especially in the first half. Miles Turner, Ben Mathurin turned in good enough performances, but not enough from Haliburton, not enough for the Pacers. Back to 15 and 16. Much more coming with Derek Kramer on Locked On Pacers.
Yeah, you need your star players to carry you, and he's had a weird year, it feels like, and they did have that 5-game winning streak, but you've got to wonder if that was a little bit of fool's gold when you run into, admittedly, one of the best teams in the league, and they beat you like that.
Yeah, look, Haliburton has – I remember before the season, Matt Moore, one of the regulars here on Locked On NBA here, they put out a player ranking thing, and they had Tyrese Haliburton like really high, and it's based off of the beginning of last season, where he was right around this time.
It's like the darling of the NBA.
Yeah, NBA Cup run. He was ascending. He was the next star of the league. We're talking about how the NBA Cup was so great because it gave somebody like Haliburton this opportunity to be seen, and then he hurt himself, and I think the 65-game thing played into trying to come back early, getting hurt again, maybe hurting something else. And now this season, it's like every full moon, he has a Tyrese Haliburton 30-point, 11 assist type of game. But it really is once every few weeks. And they're going to need him. If the Pacers are going to be what they thought they could be, they need him to get back to being that darling, that ascending superstar. And right now, he's just a good player, and they need him to be more than that.
Yeah, more over at the Locked On Pacers podcast and Locked On Thunder. Let's quickly touch on news from Shams Charania here that Luka Doncic with that calf injury, left calf strain, is going to be reevaluated in a month here. This is certainly, in my opinion, going to solidify OKC as top of the West. I think Dallas, in my opinion, was really the team that was going to challenge them with that. It's about as brutal as it gets of an injury, though. Their starters have been good, and losing him from there, the engine that makes it all go, isn't great.
No, and especially in the West where things are so tightly packed, the Dallas Mavericks 5.5 games back, trailed by 2 games. Denver, LA, the Clippers, they're all right there. The Suns looking to make a move. Minnesota, like a month without Luka, they can handle it. They have Kyrie, that's a hell of a player to lean on, and they have some good players there that can carry their way through. But Luka, obviously, I mean, he's a superstar. He's an MVP candidate. Without him, Dallas really runs the risk of falling in the standings. And when you fall in the West, it's tough to climb back up. So a month without Luka, it really is going to make things very difficult for Dallas. And a playoff matchup, like they could match up against OKC in the first round now, all of a sudden.
Easily. Yeah, it's going to be rough. So go check out the Locked On Mavs podcast for more on the Luka Doncic injury here. Continuing on with our 9 games in the NBA, the Memphis Grizzlies setting a team record for points scored, 155 over the Toronto Raptors, 126. A beautiful uniform matchup in this one. Toronto in red. You had Memphis in the old Vancouver uniforms. That was fun to watch, but also, I don't know, Memphis. This game opened my eyes to Memphis a little bit. I've been watching them really closely because their starters have not been winning their minutes, and they've been winning with their depth, and that's great for the regular season. But their starters played exceptionally well in this one. All of their starters were at least a plus 20 tonight. Feeling good about Memphis after this win?
Well, yeah. I mean, look, they are very aggressive driving. 72 points in the paint is an absolute outrageous number.
29 in the fast break, I think, right?
Yeah, They had, let's see. I just fast break points, 29 to 17.
29.
They were 40 of 64 on 2-pointers. This is such a wild game because, yes, their starters played well, but also their depth played well. You score 155 points. No one scored more than 21. But what you have is 2 guys scoring 21, a 19-point game, 17, 15, 15, 15, 11. It's just, even in the fourth quarter when they started to pull away, then Luke Kennard goes off for 12 points in the fourth quarter. So that is just an all-around game from everyone. Getting 15 points from Ja Morant and putting up 155,
Yeah, it's
the numbers
absurd.
doesn't even make sense.
Now, look, they're chugging along. I think they're going to be a really good regular season team. I'm still skeptical about them in the playoffs, but they're going to be winning a lot of regular season games.
Top 5 offense and defense. That makes you a very good contending team.
No, that's kind of the benchmark that you want for being a title contender. So coming up, we had a fun ending in Orlando. We had a fun ending with the Washington Wizards. Fun endings all around. We'll get to the collapse that was the Sacramento Kings later in the show. That's all coming up here next on Locked On NBA Game Night. Today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night is brought to you by Robinhood. With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for the high society. And now the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.25% APY on uninvested cash and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on IRA account contributions. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply. For specific product disclosures, visit Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rate may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC. And thank you for making it Locked On NBA Game Night your first listen today and every day. We're here Monday through Monday, not just 5 days a week, but 7 days a week here as we're recapping every single game around the association. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. For your second listen, I'm probably going to be tuning into Locked On Mavs, making them my second listen today with that Luka Doncic injury, because that's a pretty significant one that's going to alter just like the competitive landscape of the NBA. But let's go over to Florida, matchup between the Miami Heat and the Orlando Magic. Miami winning 89-88 with a Tyler Herro game winner. Let's kick it over to Wes Goldberg of Locked On Heat.
Well, it was an ugly one, but it was an important one. The Miami Heat beat the Orlando Magic in a slugfest, one filled with turnovers, a bunch of missed shots, and some ugly offense. But Tyler Herro hits the game-winning mid-range jumper at the end to seal this one. The Heat complete a 17-point comeback. They went down 14-0 to start this game. They looked a little distracted to start the game, which might not be all that surprising given the noise around this team, and in particular around Jimmy Butler and his future with the Miami Heat. It has gone so far to the point where Pat Riley felt compelled to release a statement Thursday afternoon saying, "We will not trade Jimmy Butler." Strong words from the Heat president. We'll see what ultimately ends up happening, because that situation still needs to be resolved regardless of what Pat Riley says in his statement. We still don't know where Jimmy Butler's next contract is coming from. But Tyler Herro, after the game, telling the broadcast, that they needed this win, and they needed it badly. Can this be a turning point for the Miami Heat season?
All right, John, we like to play real or fake here. So real or fake with Miami Heat? Real or fake? You believe Pat Riley when he says they're not going to trade Jimmy Butler?
Yes, because no one's coming with the offer that they want to trade Jimmy Butler. Like, whatever statement that was, the real statement is no one's giving us anything good, so we're not going to trade Jimmy Butler, is really what they're saying. And look, this is what the collective bargaining agreement is designed to do. It's designed to create parity. It's designed to limit player movement. And a guy like Jimmy Butler 5 years ago would have been able to call his shot. Now there's no shot. None of his preferred destinations have the ability to trade for him. No one could put together a package of a bunch of junk and some picks just to satisfy the salary matching. So Jimmy's stuck. He is stuck. He makes too much money. He's too old. He's done. I don't think he plays for anybody outside of Miami this year or next.
It's going to be interesting because he's in a similar boat to bringing in Ingram. No, I think everyone's kind of scared of the next contract that you'd have to give somebody like that. For Ingram, it's his play style. For Butler, it's really his age. And look, the Miami Heat are taking this hardline stance because there's no one in free agency is going to pay Jimmy Butler outside of the Nets. So whatever they're going to get, whatever garbage they'd kind of get for Jimmy Butler right now, and it wouldn't be a good trade package, you'll get that same thing to facilitate a sign and trade if that's how it ends up going. So they kind of feel they're in a good position with that no matter what. But it does overshadow the Tyler Herro game winner. He's been looking like an all-star this season, I think, for Miami. With 20 points on that, including that game winner, basically his time expired. Let's kick it over, by the way, to Philip Rossman-Reich of the Locked On Magic podcast for his perspective on this one.
This is Philip Rossman-Reich, the host of Locked On Magic, as the Orlando Magic fall to the Miami Heat 89-88. And obviously, you're going to have games like this in the course of the season, games that come down to a buzzer-beating shot. But as coaches always like to say, these games never come down to that buzzer-beating shot. And while Tyler Herro hit an incredible shot from the spot here at the Kia Center with half a second left to stymie the Magic really did give this one away. They took a 14-0 lead, 17-point lead in the first quarter. They looked like they were going to rout the Heat, send them wherever they're going next and wherever that team is heading next. But Orlando turned the ball over too much. They got sloppy with the ball, and really for the first time since Franz Wagner's injury, they looked like a team that was missing their star player, missing a difference maker to get them downhill. The Magic got frustrated going up against the Heat zone defense. They really kind of lost their cool, and the turnovers are a product of that. The missed threes are a product of that. The lack of attention to detail in the fourth quarter that allowed Miami to erase a 10-point deficit in the fourth to open the fourth quarter. That tells you all you need to know. This is still a young team. They're still learning. They're still down a lot of bodies. Those aren't excuses. This was a game the Magic could win, the game the Magic should have won, a game the Magic nearly won, but a game the Magic lost nonetheless.
They just have no margin for error with all the injuries that they have. I feel like it's just really that simple. Either they play perfect or you're probably going to lose. And if you can't get it done in the fourth quarter, you're going to lose. It's really simple. They're as banged up as any team in the league is.
I just watched Trevelin Queen and Tristan Da Silva beat the Boston Celtics a couple of nights ago. They are young. Trevelin Queen is a two-way player who was homeless at one point, trying to live out this dream of his. Tristan Da Silva is a rookie, and they're leaning on these guys to have big nights. They can come through in spots, but it's tough. Like the Magic, like you said, no margin for error. When they play great, they can beat a team like Boston. When they don't, they end up scoring 88 points and losing to the 15-13 Miami Heat.
Yeah, there you go. Without Jimmy Butler. Let's move on to a really fun game between the Washington Wizards and the Charlotte Hornets. There were like 3 separate game winners in this one until it was Jordan Poole who hit a 3. Basically, his time expired. Let's kick it over to the Locked On Wizards podcast here.
Jordan Poole hits a game-winning shot as the Washington Wizards beat the Charlotte Hornets 113-110. 6 Wizards score in double figures. Now, LaMelo Ball did drop 31 points, but it was not enough as JP13, that's right, a.k.a. Jordan Poole, dropped 25 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists. But the other half of the dynamic duo, Bilal Coulibaly, dropped 20 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists. But other people did shine for the Washington Wizards tonight. Alex Sarr, rookie who was drafted number 2 overall, shined tonight, 15 points, but also had 3 blocks. And looking at the bench, Corey Kispert, 13 points. Malcolm Brogdon, 11 points. And Jonas Valanciunas contributed 14 points and 12 rebounds. Not too shabby. So the Washington Wizards get a much-needed win. And they have won 2 in a row against the Charlotte Hornets. But looking forward, it does not easier for the Washington Wizards. They improved to an overall record of 5-23, but there's no rest for the weary. All right, everybody, hail to the Wizards, and peace.
Look, good for them. They needed a win. That's about it. Okay, happy for the Wizards here. That was a fun game to watch the end of.
Yeah, you get a 3 of 6 shooting night from 3 from Alex Sarr. That's going to go a long way. He has not been hitting those shots. So yeah, good for the Wizards or bad for the Wizards. I don't know. When bad teams win, is that good for them or bad for them? Aren't they supposed to be losing?
When you only have 5 wins, it's totally okay either way. Doesn't matter here. As someone who's covering a 5-win team, it doesn't matter. I would like a win, so I get it.
Good enough. Congratulations. Way to go, Wizards.
Yeah, there you go. Give them like the slow golf clap here. A fun one between the Chicago Bulls and the Atlanta Hawks. Atlanta winning 141-133, a 50-point fourth quarter for Atlanta here. They won that quarter 50-25 to get the victory here. Look, it's a better team beating a worse team, but you also saw Javon Carter, who go off in the first quarter of this one, 19 points, I think on 6 of 7 from 3. You might not know that name, but you'll know him after that performance. It propelled the Bulls to a big win a big first quarter and a big lead. And then the better team eventually took over late in the fourth quarter here.
Here's a stat coming from Brad Rowland of Locked On Hawks. Hawks offensive rating in the first half, 100. So 100 points per 100 possessions. Second half, 166. Fourth quarter, 185.2.
Yeah, that's nuts.
That was nuts. Trae Young, 16 points in the fourth quarter. Jalen Johnson, 11 in the fourth quarter. You got two guys scoring double digits in the fourth quarter. That's incredible. Chicago, I mean, another team that is a team that recently beat Boston. When they got it going, when they're hitting their shots, they're a high-powered offense, but giving up 50 points in a quarter, I don't. When's the last time that's even happened? I don't even know when that's happened. That is a ridiculous number. 144 to 130. We needed something to balance out an 89-88 game between the Magic and the Heat. So thank you, Chicago and Atlanta, for making up the point differential so the NBA could be like, no, the points are fine.
The averages on the night were totally cool here. Zach LaVine,
out.
by the way. Yeah, Zach LaVine, 37 points, hopefully for them increasing his trade value. Looking, in my opinion, a little bit underrated. Not too much underrated, but he's been scoring well. Vucevic has been scoring well as well. He had 19 points in this one. So we're going to get to a crazy ending between the Detroit Pistons and Sacramento Kings here coming up next. You do not want to miss this one. We're going to have some fun. That's coming up here next in today's episode of Locked. Yeah, we're already laughing. Of Locked On NBA Game Night. Today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL playoffs are almost here, but it's not too late to get in on the regular season action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. And FanDuel has so many ways for you to pick up a W. I might actually recommend betting against the New Orleans Pelicans, whoever they're playing. Take the minus, I think it's 11.5 for their game against Memphis on Friday night. I think you're going to feel pretty good about that one. So you can also get in on the player props if you're looking at the NFL, which players can score a touchdown. By the way, that $250 in bonus bets, we've been running FanDuel ads for like 4 years here. I don't think I've seen a better offer than that. So it's $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your chance at $250 in bonus bets. Make every moment with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. And thank you for making a Locked On NBA Game Night, every game, every night, your first listen today and every day. We're here 7 days a week. There will not be one game in the association that does not get recapped on here. So it's a great way to catch up on everything you missed. Real fun games on Thursday night. And for your second listen, it's not listening, it's actually reading with our Locked On newsletters for each and every team. Just go to lockedondaily.com, scroll down to you see your favorite team, click on up, put your email. It's going to be in your inbox Monday through Friday. So, John, let's get into, I think, my favorite game of the night, and that is the Detroit Pistons beating the Sacramento Kings 114-113. If y'all didn't see this one, y'all missed out. I got to pull up the play-by-play to get the exact timing right on this one.
So
but Jaden Ivey,
just doing that same thing.
Yeah, with 3 seconds left, Jaden Ivey in the right corner gets a pass, goes up for the 3. De'Aaron Fox closes out pretty hard, gets up in the air. Jaden Ivey sidesteps to the right. And as he's coming down, De'Aaron Fox fouls Ivey. He throws up the prayer. It goes in, ties the game. He goes to the line for the and one, hits it. And that was that. All right. They like to play count it up on other days here on Locked On NBA. John, I've got a couple with this one, by the way. So first count it up on a scale of 1 to 10. How would you rank this brutal loss for the Sacramento Kings?
10,000. This is like magnified. So in a vacuum, losing a game like this, when you're up 3, and the one thing you don't want is to foul a 3-point shooter. It's the number one thing you do not want. But on top of it, on top of this loss, on top of De'Aaron Fox with trade rumors and all of this stuff surrounding them, the season that the Kings are having is, I saw Matt George classify this, host of Locked On Kings, as the complete opposite of what they expected the Kings to be this season. And then to have this game losing at home to the Pistons on a 4-point play.
When you were up 19.
When you were up 19.
You were up 19 in this game, right? Like, it's about as brutal as it gets.
That's a kick in the jingle bells right there.
Oh, that was good. That was good. Festive for the holiday season here. Timely. Yeah, it's a brutal. Like, I don't want to put this at a 10, but it's like a 9.5. You were up 19. You were one of the most clutch teams in the league last year. You brought in DeMar DeRozan to be even more clutch, and they are the opposite of clutch. Real or fake? Are they the most unclutch team in the league? They are the most unclutch team in the league.
As unclutch as they are, again, opposite. This is the opposite year for the Kings. This is everything that they were like. No. De'Aaron Fox, didn't he win the clutch award?
He won the inaugural one, and I think last year DeRozan was second for it. Like,
right.
There's just no reason they should have lost the way they did.
Maybe they're like magnets, and they like you get the wrong polarity on the magnets, and they're pushing away from the clutch. You got to get a magnet that kind of creates more clutch. It's disgusting. Like, something major has to happen in Sacramento. It has to at this point.
You've already got the De'Aaron Fox trade rumors, and I don't think they'll trade him. I think they would move Sabonis before they move Fox and see if you can get something that way. But can you imagine, like, after this game, Fox is like, "Yeah, I want out. Like, if we're going to keep losing this way, we're not going to do it." And it's like, dude, you're the one that caused the loss here. But if he somehow ends up getting traded, and it's like he had that big of a screw up in a game that they should have won. Ooh. Also, how bad does Monty Williams look last year not playing Jaden Ivey when he goes and does something like this?
Yeah. That's like Ivey. And that was one of the things that Kuka Hill had been complaining about all last year with Monty Williams. It's like, why aren't you playing Jaden? And maybe he had some kind of wild kind of like idea of having him, you got to make him earn his minutes or whatever. But like, you got to play the dude, and he's capable of doing some pretty cool things. And this was one of the coolest things you could do, is beating it. They had no business. Detroit had no business winning this game. No business winning this game. And after the game, Mike Brown just lit into his team about letting up, looking to the officials, trying to like get bailed out by the refs. So bad times in Sacramento, but hey, good times in Detroit. This is the type of win.
Good times for us, man. This was fun.
Yeah, this is a galvanizing kind of win. The Pistons can build on something like this. It's good times getting on the plane after this one.
Yeah, of course. All right, 3 more games we're going to get to really quickly here. The Houston Rockets beating the New Orleans Pelicans 128-111. New Orleans might need to fire their head coach. They shouldn't look as bad as they did in this one. Jalen Green went off for 30 points here, looking like the centerpiece for that surprisingly good Rockets team. That's a good team beating a bad team. They were up by 30 in this one. It doesn't really surprise me. Go check out Locked On Rockets for more. We can just move on from this one.
No, don't check out Locked On Pelicans for this one. No.
I mean, please do me a solid and do that. That would be great. Look, I got some talk about Zion Williamson trade rumors on there on Christmas Day. That was a fun episode to do. Let's kick it over to the Utah Jazz falling to the Portland Trailblazers late 122-120. Let's go over to Locked On Jazz and David Locke for more on this one.
It wasn't necessarily the heyday of Buck Williams versus Karl Malone or Terry Porter and John Stockton going head-to-head as the 7-21 Jazz played the 9-30 Blazers. It was a heck of a fun basketball game tonight with Scoot Henderson beating the Jazz at the buzzer after Lauri Markkanen's 3 tied it with 6 seconds left. Lauri bringing the Jazz back after Walker Kessler on the play before had denied Scoot Henderson at the rim, giving the Jazz a chance. They fired back, but then Scoot Henderson goes coast to coast off an 8-and-pick with Walker defending him tightly. He fades back on the right side and scores it. A game in which the Jazz went 21 of 42 from 3, 50%, and still fell by 2. It was the Blazers' offensive explosion in the fourth quarter, scoring 41 points. The Jazz led the entire first half of the ballgame until a buzzer beater of the half by Shaedon Sharpe. They led the entire third quarter, leading by 8 going into the fourth quarter, but the Blazers won the fourth quarter and the ballgame on the Scoot Henderson game winner. David Locke for Locked On Jazz.
Feels like Scoot Henderson needed that, huh?
Yeah, look, I'm much more patient when it comes to Scoot, but because it's not on my team. So, I'm sure fans in Portland are maybe not quite. But these young guys with a ton of promise on bad teams, sometimes they need a few years to kind of live up to it. So it's good to get Scoot an important basket like that. It was his only basket of the fourth quarter, kind of overshadows Denny Avdia having 14 points in the fourth quarter of this one. But look, getting the one that matters is big, and you get to celebrate, and you get to put the headphones on and talk to the TV crew afterwards. And anything that can build your confidence in a situation like this, you got to root for it.
Yeah, no, that was a fun game to watch towards the end. These late games on Thursday night were pretty awesome. Just game winners galore.
Bad teams playing each other because no one can stop anything. So anything is possible in these games where two bad teams are playing. Like, people sit there and be like, why would I want to watch Utah and Portland? And I get it, but also the potential for like back and forth entertaining basketball. It's a 41-32 fourth quarter. You like, sometimes that's like the low key, like, watch two bad teams play each other and you might get like the most entertaining game of the night.
Yeah, no, look, we got them. The two late games were fantastic. You and I were kind of watching the end of that Pistons Kings game and just like cackling together as it was happening here before we recorded.
Hilarious.
I had to redo the graphic because the Kings were up 19 on that one. Did not say, oh no, Kings to start here. All right, final game of the night. Speaking of two bad teams, the Brooklyn Nets beat the Milwaukee Bucks 111-105. No Giannis, no Dame for Milwaukee. What do you expect there? Cam Johnson with 29 points, trying to increase his trade value. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, nothing really to you look at Milwaukee, you're like, oh, you want to make some sort of NBA Cup comparison. Like, there's nothing to talk about when Giannis and Dame aren't playing. I mean, you still should beat the Nets, but look, the Nets, I know that they traded away Dennis Schroeder because they were winning too many games, and a game like this, like, yes, it's nice to get the win, but that's not what Brooklyn is trying to do. But still, look, wins for these young teams, and if it ends up increasing trade value and maybe leading to the next deal to sink Brooklyn as they try to get Cooper Flagg or however this draft is going to go, like, that's fine. But yeah, nothing from Milwaukee side. They kind of punted this game.
There's nothing to read into. Yeah, exactly. There's just nothing to like really learn from a team when their two best players aren't playing like that. So there you go. 9 games in the association. We covered it all. It was a fun night of action. More to come on the Locked On NBA Game Night podcast. Every game, every night, because that's what we do here in under 30 minutes. On Fridays, I'm your co-host, Jake Madison, at Nola Jake on Twitter, and the host of the Locked On Pelicans podcast.
And I'm John Karalis. I'm the host of the Locked On Celtics podcast. I'm on Twitter at John_Karalis.
Go sign up for your favorite team's Locked On newsletter over at LockedOnDaily.com, and we'll see you all next week.